something to say.
I do agree. So first I would like to talk about our, of course, the City of Rome is an open data website, which is actually pretty rich in terms of quantity and richness of data sets. You can easily find it on Google. And the other thing that we do, and we should probably exchange experiences in this, our planning department has a pretty extensive use of all documents that are related to planning decisions, and also a video material about participative procedures. So every time that we do have to do, participatory processes, you can find it online. And this is something we are doing also with Roma Resiliente. All our workshops and focus groups, I mean, they are video recorded, and you can go back there and to be part of the project even if you were not there. I really like, and I think that's very realistic, to have an ecosystemic understanding of the context we are talking about, because our key question is really to understand who is going to have agency in the cities of the future. And we know that humans are going to have agency, we hope, at least. Nature, we are probably now finally realizing that nature has agency in our cities, and we really have to understand that this agency can be positive or negative for humans. I mean, just think about climate change and how it's going to change our behaviors and our urban lifestyles. And of course, technologies have agencies. I mean, I think you have been talking about the Internet of Things, and we know that things have agency at this point, and they really can make a difference, also in policy making. So in this context, I think that we could probably think of data as outcome of processes, and what we're doing with Roma Resiliente, I think, perfectly represents this, meaning having very thick, relevant, participatory processes in cities in which you really have all relevant stakeholders, and you talk about the future of cities, of your city, you reframe problems, you reframe challenges, and that creates demand for data, which is exactly what is happening to us, meaning that after 4 months of workshops and focus groups, we have so much data to look for in order to go ahead, in order to go, to the actions that we want to implement. And so data in that sense is very much the outcome. But at the same time, and especially if I think to the relationship between the city and the public opinion, data can also be opportunities, meaning that probably today, if we had to run a campaign in our city saying, did you know that in Toronto, average winter temperature rise by 4 degrees in the last 20 years? That's rough data. It's nothing more than a couple of numbers on a somewhere on a website, or maybe on a bus. But that's going to lead, probably, a conversation about that. So I think that both are, a very strategic use of data, but we really have to understand that data by themselves, without ethics, data without collective projects, and cities are all about collective projects, are really, nothing. They are kind of... So I want to give you just a couple of examples of dynamics that we do have in the city that we find to be very interesting. One dynamic, talking about how citizens can really, get data from the government, to reprocess them and to give them back to the city, and to also to have them, to have the city government to feel the duty to do something about that data and to do something about public policy. So we held, the planning department held 15, we have 15 boroughs in the city, and we held 15 participatory processes in each of this borough. And the idea was to have people discussing about public goals for planning. So what do you want in your borough when we have the opportunity to build something, creating resources and creating an influx of resources? So we came out with maps and that were shared with citizens. We came out with these public priorities. And what is the most amazing outcome of this is these public priorities are so integrated, and they are so beyond, the traditional organization of government, that now we do have a fantastic weapon to tell departments, hey, look at this data, look at the fact that people are getting together and they do not want the park. They want the park and with the incubator inside, with the bike lane, and with, you know, little things for children. So it's not the park department, it's not the children department, it's all together. And we are playing with this, creating a framework that really shows what we define as the integration demands, which are key for better government. Because people's lives are integrated. It's government that oftentimes is not integrated. So we really have to use data in order to create this conflict. And the second example is about decommissioned assets. So we started a process, the planning department started a process, having for the first time the mapping all public ownerships in the city, all public properties. We are a capital city, so we have plenty of areas that belong to the government, to different layers of the government. We came out with this map, which is very impressive because it shows how Rome, in a way, is a public city. In many ways, we have a lot of land. Talking about startups, people getting that, taking that and starting to really detect single properties that are decommissioned through EU-funded projects like the Project Tutor that you can find online, which in one of these municipality people started, you know, to map in a very granular way the single properties, giving us back the, you know, the information of what are going to be the focus for eventual intervention. So talking about ecosystems, we really have to think in terms that are systemic and to play a proactive role. Probably it's not just about release data, but to release the data that have more impact in terms of making people active and making people interested.
Great, Jennifer?